Drake and Kendrick Lamar are two of the biggest rappers in the game. Even though they started out cool and worked together early in their careers, over the last 10 years, they've been quietly dissing each other. From going on tour together to dissing each other on major hits, this is the complete breakdown of the Drake vs. Kendrick beef and every shot they took at each other over the years. Drake and Kendrick first linked up in 2011. At the time, Kendrick had a major buzz, but he was still on the come up and wasn't at the superstar level yet. Drake was also pretty early in his career, but by that point, he was signed to Young Money and dropped huge projects like Thank Me Later and So Far Gone. So, back then, Drake was a way bigger artist. In June 2011, Kendrick had a show in Toronto. While he was on the way back to his hotel, Drake hit him up on social media. Drake was working on his next album and wanted Kendrick to come through so they could meet. Kendrick went to the studio to kick it with Drake, and they hit it off right away. Kendrick even told XXL that Drake was a real good dude and had a genuine soul, unlike a lot of people he met in the industry. While they were hanging out, Kendrick let Drake hear the new project he was working on, which ended up being his first album, Section 80. No one outside of Kendrick's team had heard the album yet, so he clearly trusted Drake. Drake liked the project so much that he asked Kendrick to do a feature on his next album, Take Care. This was a huge opportunity for Kendrick, who hadn't even dropped a real album yet, but Drake already had his eye on Kendrick. After he heard Section 80, Drake knew that Kendrick was about to be a star. But looking back on it now, it's tough to tell if Drake was just trying to do Kendrick a real favor, or if Drake knew Kendrick was about to blow up and be the competition and just wanted to keep him close. Take Care dropped in late 2011, and Kendrick was featured on the Buried Alive interlude. In the verse, Kendrick gave Drake props for being real and linking up with him in Toronto, rapping, "The same day we say we in the area cruising in Toronto, hit me on the cellular, thought he was gonna sell me a false word like the rappers I know." So back then it seemed like Kendrick and Drake had a real good relationship and they'd be friends in the industry for a while. Drake even invited Kendrick to go on the road with him and A$AP Rocky for the Club Paradise tour. According to Drake, the label wanted him to do a tour with another R&B artist because they thought it would sell more tickets. But Drake fought his management to let him take Kendrick and A$AP Rocky because Drake knew it would be big for hip-hop. Even though Drake claims he did it just because he believed in them as artists, later on he used it as proof that he was the one who put Kendrick on. Drake may have been regretting that a few months later because in October 2012, Kendrick dropped Good Kid, Mad City. The album was a huge success and sold over 240,000 copies in the first week. It also had huge singles like Swimming Pools, Money Trees, and Poetic Justice. Drake had a feature on Poetic Justice and even congratulated Kendrick on Twitter when the project dropped. Kendrick had gained the respect of hip-hop fans with Section 80, but with Good Kid, Mad City, he blew up on a whole new level. Drake always knew that Kendrick was a great rapper, but Drake probably didn't realize that Kendrick would have so much commercial success and start to challenge his spot as the biggest artist in the game. That was also the moment Kendrick started taking subtle shots at Drake. Around then, DMX went on The Breakfast Club and did a wild rant about how he thought Drake was lame and wished he could beat him up.
Why don't you like Drake?
I don't like anything about Drake.
Mom,
I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
see, I be trying to tell these people.
I don't like the way he walks, like nothing. I don't like his haircut. I might just, let me shut up. I'll just stop right there.
The clip went viral, and someone asked Kendrick about it in an interview. Kendrick said when the video dropped, his whole tour bus was cracking up, and he thought the video was hilarious. Even though Kendrick didn't diss Drake directly, it was a viral moment when the internet was laughing at him. So, Drake may have felt disrespected after all he did for Kendrick early in his career. But Drake never addressed it, and they both worked together again in 2013 on A$AP Rocky's song, Fucking Problems. Fucking Problems was a huge hit because it was a collaboration between all the biggest names in rap. But even though Drake and Kendrick clearly worked well together, that was the last time they ever appeared on a song together. Whatever friendship they had in the beginning started to fall apart. Even though Drake had a head start, Kendrick was quickly catching up, and by the summer of 2013, they were basically at the same level. Drake still did bigger numbers, but Kendrick was winning all kinds of awards and getting respect from everyone in the music industry. So now Kendrick wasn't just Drake's opener, he was the competition. Kendrick made that pretty clear when he dissed Half the Rap Game on a song Control with Big Sean and Jay Electronica. On his verse, Kendrick called out all the biggest artists in the game by name, including Drake, rapping, "I'm usually homeboys with the same niggas I'm rhyming with, but this is hip-hop, and them niggas should know what time it is." And that goes for Jermaine Cole, Big Crit, Wale, Pusha T, Meek Mills, A$AP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean, Jay Electron, Tyler, Mac Miller. "I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas. Trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you niggas. They don't want to hear not one more noun or verb from you niggas." Kendrick also showed everyone love and said it wasn't personal, but in the spirit of hip-hop, he has to let everyone know that he was the greatest of all time. Control was a big moment for rap and had everybody talking. The fans loved it, and even most of the rappers he called out thought it was great for the culture. Hip-hop is a competitive art form, and Kendrick was encouraging rappers to be aggressive again. He wasn't actually dissing anyone or making it personal. Kendrick just wanted everyone to know he was the best. No one he mentioned really had a problem with it, except Drake. Everyone else said they didn't take it personally, and some even took it as a compliment. Drake was the only one who said he felt offended and thought Kendrick was clout chasing. At the time, Drake was busy promoting his upcoming album, Nothing Was the Same, but all anyone could talk about was Kendrick's Control verse. The song also led to a wave of response tracks, which distracted the fans and made it harder for Drake to promote his album. During the rollout, Drake did an interview with Hot 97 where he complained about the verse and basically called Kendrick fake.
Coming from that situation, it was unexpected. You know, I wouldn't like. It's sort of like in working your way up and sort of building relationships. I wouldn't expect you to like throw all the relationships out the door for the sake of, like I said, being like the talk of the internet for 10 days, and then it's like now this like everyone's gonna forget about. I mean, people don't even care about it anymore.
So
but
true.
Drake said that he ran into Kendrick at an event a few days after the song dropped. When they saw each other, Kendrick showed love like nothing had happened, but Drake thought that if Kendrick really felt that way, he should keep the same energy in person. Otherwise, Drake felt like Kendrick was just doing it to impress the fans.
I don't know, it just wasn't real to me. It's like I saw him after that, and it was just like love. So it's like, was that real, or was that just like for the people?
Drake might have had a point if Control was an actual diss track, or if Kendrick had singled him out, but no one else had a problem with it because the diss wasn't that deep. It seemed like Drake was only mad because of all the attention Kendrick was getting from it. Drake continued to take shots at Kendrick in interviews and said that he didn't think the Control verse was as great as people said it was. Drake said he was more into making timeless music and felt like Control was more for shock value and that fans would quickly forget about it.
And that verse was, he's giving people like moments, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay.
Finally, when Nothing Was the Same dropped a few weeks later, it was full of bars fans think are aimed at Kendrick. On the language, Drake started his verse by rapping, "I don't know why they've been lying, but your shit is not that inspiring." People immediately thought this bar was a shot at Kendrick because Drake had just done a whole press tour talking about how he didn't think Control lived up to the hype. But he didn't stop there. Later in the verse, Drake also rapped, "I am the kid with the motor mouth. I am the one you should worry about. I don't know who you're referring to. Who's this nigga you heard about? Someone just talking that bullshit. Man, someone just gave you the runaround." Fans also thought this bar was a shot at Kendrick, who's known for rapping fast, like a motor mouth. So it seemed like Drake was trying to downplay the idea that Kendrick was next up and felt like he was doing a lot of trash talk but couldn't back it up. Kendrick didn't waste any time responding to Drake. A few weeks later, Kendrick did a cypher with the rest of Black Hippie where he took a few obvious shots at Drake, rapping, "Yeah, and nothing been the same since they dropped Control," and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. "Haha, joke's on you. High five, I'm bulletproof. Your shots will never penetrate. Pin a tail on the donkey. Boy, you been a fake." Some of the bars could also be about Papoose, who also started dissing Kendrick after Control dropped. But the first bar where he said nothing was the same was clearly aimed at Drake. It seems like Kendrick was getting tired of Drake's comments and let him know he was ready to beef. Only a few years earlier, Kendrick said Drake was one of the realest dudes in the music industry, but now he was calling him out for being sensitive and fake. Drake fired back in December 2013 on a remix of the track Shit with Future and Juicy J, rapping, "Took niggas out the hood like I'm from there, so you know it's all good when I come there. I hear you talk about your city like you run that, and I brought my tour to your city, you my son there." Drake was talking about the time he brought Kendrick out on tour with A$AP Rocky and did shows in LA, so he was clowning Kendrick for thinking he was competition when Drake was the one who put him on. Drake also had another bar on the song that might have been about Kendrick when he later rapped, "Yeah, I just think it's funny how they's angling the bait, but I'm the one that's killing niggas on the hooks though." That bar could have been about anyone, but Drake said something similar about Kendrick during an interview with Vibe that came out around the same time. In the interview, Drake admitted that he dissed Kendrick on the language because Kendrick's Control verse ruined his album rollout. Drake also admitted that he didn't hate Kendrick and even called him a genius, but he was called out first, so Drake stood his ground and responded. During the interview, Drake said, "I have to realize I'm being baited and I'm not gonna fall. Jordan doesn't have to play pickup to prove that he can play ball, no offense." Throughout their beef, Drake would continue to show love to Kendrick, but then keep dissing him in songs. But Kendrick is taking a totally different approach and made it clear he has no interest in being cool. But for a while, it seemed like the beef was over after Drake gave Kendrick a shout out on stage at OVO Fest. J. Cole was also performing and brought out Drake during his set. Drake thanked Cole for coming through, but said that Kendrick also should have been on that stage with them. Drake called Kendrick one of the hardest in the game and talks about how they went on tour together and used to have a good relationship.
Kendrick was on my album, we went on tour together. That's one of the hardest niggas alive right there. He's legendary, so shout out to him. He should be standing right there. There's a lot of kings in this shit, you understand what I'm saying? So shout out to Kendrick and shout out my brother J. Cole one time in the whole dream.
But Kendrick clearly didn't care and wasn't interested in ending the beef. A few months later, he sent another shot at Drake on J-Rock's song, Pay For It, rapping, I tell him all hail King Kendrick, resurrecting my vengeance, been dissecting your motor mouth until I break down the engine. This was a clear response to Drake's diss on the language, where he called himself a motor mouth. So even though Drake was giving Kendrick his flowers, Kendrick wasn't ready to let the beef go. Kendrick Lamar kept getting asked about dissing Drake in interviews, but Kendrick pretended that he didn't know what they were talking about and said it was all just fans reading too much into the lyrics. He also kept getting asked if he would even be interested in a rap battle with Drake, but Kendrick said no, because he and Drake were in two different lanes. Even though he kept it cool, it seemed like Kendrick was basically saying he's a real rapper, while Drake is just a pop star. So of course, Drake had to respond. In February 2015, Drake dropped his surprise mixtape, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. On the track, Used To, he rapped, they gon' say your name on them airwaves. They gon' hit you up right after like it's only rap. The bar was a clear reference to the time Drake ran into Kendrick a few days after Control dropped, and he was acting like it was all love. Drake also continued to diss Kendrick on the song 6 PM in New York, rapping, I got a backyard where money seems to come from the trees, and I'm never even scared to get some blood on my leaves. Phantom sliding like the shit just hit a puddle of grease. I cooked the beef well done on the double with cheese. Special order for anybody that's coming for me. Money Trees was one of Kendrick's biggest hits, so it seemed like Drake was letting Kendrick know he was ready for the smoke. If You're Reading This, It's Too Late was a massive hit and ran up crazy numbers. But then Kendrick came through with his own surprise album, To Pimp a Butterfly. On the track King Kunta, Kendrick took another shot at Drake, but fans didn't even realize it till a few months later. On King Kunta, Kendrick rapped, I can dig a rapper, but a rapper with a ghostwriter? What the fuck happened? Drake probably knew the bar was about him, because he took one of the most obvious shots at Kendrick a few months later on the song 100 with The Game. On the track, Drake dissed Kendrick for making conscious hip-hop and claimed he could do the same thing if he wasn't busy being the biggest rapper in the world. Drake rapped, I would have all of your fans if I didn't go pop and I stayed on some conscious shit. I would have so many more friends if I lost my success and my confidence. I'm in the club every time that they play the competition. If they even play the competition, I seen the response they get. Yeah, nobody's even hearing it, on top of the pyramid. To Pimp a Butterfly was one of the most political hip-hop albums of the last 10 years, so it was obvious who Drake was talking about. It also wasn't really a club banger, so Drake was still winning when it came to popularity and album sales. But Kendrick was getting way more respect and awards for making great art, and it seems like that was starting to get to Drake. To add to the disrespect, the video for 100 was filmed in Compton, the city where Kendrick grew up. So not only was Drake dissing Kendrick on a record with a legendary West Coast artist, he was also doing it in his own city. 100 was another big hit, and 2016 seemed like it was going to be a great year for Drake. But he would end up getting exposed by Meek Mill, and suddenly Kendrick's diss on King Kunta started to make sense. In July 2015, Meek went on Twitter and called out Drake for using ghostwriters. Meek said he had just done a song with Drake called Rico. Fans online were arguing who was better, so Meek went on Twitter and told everyone to stop comparing them because Drake didn't even write his own raps. Meek also said that Drake was mad he found out about the ghostwriters, which is why Drake didn't repost his album on social media. Meek supposedly heard about the ghostwriter from DJ Drama, who was mad at Drake for sleeping with his ex-wife, Summer P. Walker. No one knew if Meek was telling the truth or not, but suddenly, the bar about a rapper with a ghostwriter from Kendrick's song, King Kunta, started to make more sense, and fans realized Meek wasn't the only one who knew Drake's secret. Reference tracks from Drake's ghostwriter, Quentin Miller, ended up getting released, which proved that Meek was right. But even though Drake got exposed, he still ended up coming out on top. Drake immediately responded with the diss track, Charged Up, and then hit Meek again with another record called Back to Back. On the song, he dissed Meek for talking big on social media, but failing to come through with the record, rapping, yeah, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. Yeah, you get embodied by a singing nigga. I'm not the type of nigga that'll type to niggas. And shout to all my boss bitches, wife and niggas. Back to Back was a huge hit and had fans trolling Meek on social media and making memes about him. Meek took a while to respond, and when he did, with the song Wanna Know, fans thought it was trash and didn't have the same impact as Drake's disses. Even though hip-hop fans were upset that Drake had a ghostwriter, most casual fans didn't care. So people agreed Drake won the beef, and he and Meek continued going back and forth for the next few years. But even though the Meek Mill beef got all the headlines, Drake was still quietly at war with Kendrick. Not long after that, Kendrick dissed Drake again on Dr. Dre's album, Compton. On the song, Dark Side Gone, Kendrick flipped Drake's hook from the track Energy, rapping, "But still, I got enemies giving me energy. I wanna fight now. Subliminal, sending me all of this hate. I thought I was holding the mic down." So basically, Kendrick was calling out Drake for shouting him out 1 minute and dissing him the next. Later on the same album, Kendrick took another shot at Drake. On the song, Deep Water, Kendrick raps, "They liable to bury him. They nominated 6 to carry him. They worry him to death, but he no vegetarian. The beef is on his breath, inheriting the drama better than a great white. Nigga, this is life in my aquarium." The 6 is a name for Toronto, where Drake is from. So he's saying that if Drake really wants to battle, Kendrick would destroy him because he's on a different level lyrically. The beef was getting so real that even the president got involved. A YouTuber named Swoozy did an interview with Barack Obama and asked him who would win in a rap battle, Drake or Kendrick.
You got to go with Kendrick. I'm just saying, I think Drake is an outstanding entertainer, but Kendrick, his lyrics, his last album was outstanding.
Excellent, all right.
Best album, I think, last year.
Drake even responded to Obama on the track Summer 16, rapping, "To do what you couldn't do, tell Obama that my verses are just like the whips that he in. They bulletproof." Kendrick also took more shots at Drake on his project Untitled Unmastered. On part 7, he rapped, "Just know the mechanics of making your choices and writing your bars. Before you poke your chest out, loosen your bra." By then, it was clear they had issues, but up until that point, all fans ever heard was sneak disses. Then in June 2016, former NFL player Marcellus Wiley broke the story wide open when he said that the beef between Drake and Kendrick could have been as bad as 50 Cent and Ja Rule if he didn't step in. Marcellus Wiley had a radio show on ESPN and claims he did an interview with either Drake or Kendrick. He didn't reveal which one it was, but according to Marcellus, the rapper he interviewed went off on the other one and took some serious shots. It was so bad that the rapper's manager had to step in and ask him to destroy the interview before it aired. Marcellus didn't give too many details about what the rapper supposedly said, but he did say that what he heard could have brought the beef to the level of 50 Cent and Ja Rule, or maybe even Ice Cube and NWA.
So you said, all I know is there was a beef. And all I know is I was witness to where the beef would have ignited to proportions we would not have seen since Ja Rule and 50. Maybe even Ice Cube and NWA. Like, it went there.
Marcellus also didn't say who was doing the dissing, but fans were quick to figure out that Drake was at ESPN Studios just a few days after Control first dropped. It's possible Marcellus was just making it all up, because at the same time he broke the news, he was also promoting his new book. During his promo run, Marcellus promised to reveal exactly what happened in the book. When it finally came out, Marcellus did admit it was Drake who was going off, but he didn't reveal what he said or why it was so bad. It's possible he was making everything up just to sell more books, but it doesn't seem that crazy to think Drake might have gone off on Kendrick around that same time. Drake did talk about Kendrick in other interviews, and he was obviously not happy about the verse. So maybe Kendrick also found out about the deleted interview, and that's why he's hated him all this time. Plus, at that point, it seemed like Drake was willing to be cool, but Kendrick still wasn't interested. Drake gave him a shout out on the DJ Khaled song, For Free, rapping, "And like your boy from Compton said, you know this dick ain't free." Kendrick also had a song called For Free, which had the same line, but that seemed like more of a salute than a diss. Kendrick still wasn't willing to let it go and came back in 2017 with another sneak diss. In March 2017, Drake dropped the album More Life. On the song Gloucester, he raps, "I know I said top 5, but I'm top 2. And I'm not 2, and I got 1. Thought you had 1, but it's not 1. Nigga, nah." A few days later, Kendrick dropped the track The Heart Part 4, which fans say is a response to Drake saying he's number 1. On the song, Kendrick raps, yelling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I am the greatest rapper alive. But that wasn't all. Kendrick also took a shot at Drake for comparing himself to Jay-Z. On the track Summer 16, Drake had rapped, "We even gave y'all the whole money play, and y'all broke to this day. Oh, it's your time now? Yeah, that's what everybody say. I used to want to be on Rockefeller, then I turned into Jay." Drake has compared himself to Jay-Z a lot, and often claims that he's the modern day version of Hov in the 90s. But not everyone agreed with the comparison, including Kendrick. On The Heart Part 4, Kendrick raps, "You making them nervous? The music is loud. Ho, Jay-Z Hall of Fame. Sit your punk ass down." Kendrick kept applying pressure and had more shots for Drake on his album, Damn, which came out a few weeks later. On the track Element, Kendrick raps, "Niggas wanna flex on me and be in LA for free, huh? Next time they hit the 10 freeway, we need a receipt, huh?" The line is a reference to Drake's song, For Free, where he shouted out Kendrick. It's also probably about the time Drake pulled up to Compton to shoot the video for 100 with The Game and dissed Kendrick on the same track. On Element, Kendrick also baited Drake into calling him out by name, rapping, "Most of y'all throw rocks and try to hide your hand. Just say his name and I promise that you'll see Candyman. Because it's all in your eyes. Most of y'all tell lies. Most of y'all don't fade. Most of y'all been advised. Last LP, I try to lift the black artist, but it's a difference between black artists and whack artists. Candyman was a horror movie about a ghost that comes to kill you when you say his name too many times. So, Kendrick was begging Drake to actually say his name in a diss and see what would happen. Fans also have a theory that Kendrick was mocking Drake on the verse to the song God. Kendrick's flow and singing voice on the song was a lot different than his normal style, but it did sound similar to Drake's style at the time. More Life had just dropped, and Kendrick's flow on God sounded a lot like Drake on that project, so some fans think Kendrick was mocking Drake by biting his style and doing it better. Instead of responding, Drake actually gave Kendrick another shout out. Drake left a comment on a tweet about Damn outselling More Life in his second week on the chart, saying, "Amazing to see our music moving." So either he didn't hear the disses, or he was actually too scared of what would happen if he continued to respond. But Kendrick wasn't done there. In May 2017, Kendrick Lamar dropped a remix of Future's Mask Off, where he responded to Drake's shot on 100 about him being a conscious rapper. He said, "Platinum, platinum, platinum. Gotta look at self and ask what happened. How you let a conscious nigga go commercial while only making conscious albums?" Kendrick also responded to Drake's fake compliment on the song All the Stars with SZA, rapping, "Fuck you and all your expectations. I don't even want your congratulations. I recognize your false confidence and calculated promises, all in your conversation." So it seemed like Drake was ready to squash the back and forth, but Kendrick wasn't interested. So finally, Drake got fed up with trying to be the nice guy and started firing back. In January 2018, Drake dropped the song Diplomatic Immunity, where he took a clear shot at Kendrick, rapping, "They try to compare us, but like a job straight out of high school, there's no you and I. I taught you everything you know, now you got student pride." Kendrick has 2 songs on the Pimp a Butterfly called You and I. So this was most likely a shot at Kendrick and a reminder that Drake was the one who first put him on. Drake also had more bars for Kendrick on his next album, Scorpion. On the song Sandra Rose, he raps, "Bury me and I'll be born again. I walk in godly form amongst the mortal men." Mortal Man is another song from To Pimp a Butterfly. So Drake could be saying Kendrick is a good rapper, but that Drake is like a god in the music industry. Or it could also be a response to Kendrick making fun of him on the song God. But at the same time, he was sending shots. Drake also kept giving Kendrick shoutouts and saying how much he respected him as an artist. In an interview with Rap Radar, Drake said the 2 names he always got compared to were J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and that he had a ton of respect for both of them.
Like, I have a lot of respect for, the other 2 guys that I'm constantly, up against, which is like Cole and Kendrick.
Three-headed monster.
Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for those guys because they also continue to, stay true to what we started with, and finding new ways to do it.
That may be the real reason Kendrick doesn't respect Drake the same way. Drake will throw shade and then turn around and try to be friendly in an interview. Kendrick has a completely different mindset though. He's ready to go to war if Drake wants to take it there, but doesn't want to be friends. After that, the beef got pretty quiet. Kendrick disappeared from the spotlight for a while and wasn't dropping any music. Drake continued to dominate the game, but stopped sending shots, so some fans thought it was over. But then Kendrick popped back up again in 2021 and had more bars for Drake. Kendrick dropped a collab with Baby Keem called Family Ties, where he took another shot at Drake for claiming he was the best in the game, rapping, "Smoking on your top 5 tonight. Yeah, I'm smoking on your, what's his name?" This shot could be a reference to Drake's song, Grammys, where he raps, "Whole city going crazy, whole city going crazy. Top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5. Drake didn't waste any time responding to Kendrick though, and reminded Kendrick that he's still #1 when it comes to album sales. On the track No Friends in the Industry from Certified Lover Boy, Drake raps, "Fuck debating who to go. Better not make the shit up out the numbers, all I know." Both lyrics could have just been generic bars about being the best rapper if Kendrick and Drake didn't have such a long history of sneak dissing each other. It also didn't help that Kanye basically confirmed that the beef was still active during an interview on Drink Champs. Kanye didn't directly say that the bars were about Kendrick, but he did break down Drake's strategy when it came to rap beat. According to Kanye,
Drake don't
do a diss, like an outright diss song where it's a headshot. He's gonna set it up like war.
Kanye also said that he was talking to Jay Prince from Rap-A-Lot Records, who has a close relationship with Drake. While they were talking, Jay Prince broke down all the shots Drake took on Certified Lover Boy. So even though Kanye didn't say who they were all about, he did confirm that the album was full of disses aimed at someone. But by the early 2020s, fans were starting to forget about the beef. Kendrick wasn't dropping much music, and Drake was still dominating the charts, so there wasn't any real reason to keep it going. Then, Kendrick finally came back after a 5-year break and took his most direct shot at Drake in years. On the song Father Time for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Kendrick actually called Drake out by name and admitted he had no interest in being cool, rapping, "When Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly confused. Guess I'm not mature as I think, got some healing to do." Kanye and Drake had just reunited for the Free Larry Hoover concert after they had been dissing each other for months, so Kendrick was straight up admitting that he wasn't ready to let it go and end the beef. Drake clapped back with another obvious Kendrick diss on the track Forgot I Was Famous, rapping, "Fake woke, niggas fake deep, you ain't no fame before me. Gave your ass a little sneak peek, yeah, now you gotta take a back seat." Once again, Drake was calling out Kendrick for acting fake and claiming that Drake gave Kendrick a start in the rap game by taking him on tour. Drake made it even more obvious by referencing another Kendrick song, Backseat Freestyle. But once again, Drake sneak dissed Kendrick on a song only to turn around and show him love. When Kendrick went on tour to perform Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Drake randomly showed up in the crowd when he came to Toronto. Some fans thought it was a sign that Drake was ready to patch things up, but it also could have been a power move to show Kendrick that he was always watching. It seemed like Kendrick had the last laugh because he ended up smashing one of Drake's records with the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers tour. Kendrick sold almost 930,000 tickets and brought in $110 million, making it the highest selling tour for any rapper in history. Before that, Drake had the record since 2018 with his Aubrey and the Three Amigos tour. Drake's biggest flex in their beef was that Kendrick couldn't touch him when it came to numbers, but even after taking 5 years off, Kendrick was just as popular as ever. Drake may have been a little salty about Kendrick's return to music. At a show in Chicago on his It's All a Blur tour, Drake gave himself props for his consistency and took a shot at rappers who go away for 3, 4, 5 years and just want to chill out.
I don't know about these guys that go away 3, 4, 5 years, want to chill out, all that shit. That's not me. So, with that being said, I got an album coming out real soon for y'all. It's called
And considering Kendrick just came back from a 5-year break, this was a pretty clear shot at him. Drake also had a bar on his 2022 album Her Loss with 21 Savage that some fans think may have been about Kendrick. On the track More M's, Drake raps, "Come up off that bag for the boy that keep working. Dissing on his album and it flopped, he deserved it. Come up out that booth and bring that energy in person. Got so many hits, it wouldn't be fair to do no verses." Some fans think this bar could have been about Pusha T, who had a much more public beef with Drake. Pusha T had dropped his 4th album, It's Almost Dry, a few months earlier. The album did land at #1 on Billboard, but didn't sell anything close to Drake's numbers. But the shot also could have been about Kendrick. Even though Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers did go to #1 on Billboard, it didn't sell as many albums as expected, and some fans were debating if it was a flop or not. Kendrick's 3rd album, Damn, sold over 600,000 copies in the first week, while Mr. Morale sold under 300,000. So Drake could have been talking about Kendrick, especially because he did name him on the project. In September 2023, the original version of Kendrick's song, Element from Damn, leaked on Twitter and stirred up even more drama. On the original track, Kendrick called out a ton of rappers by name, including French Montana, Big Sean, and Drake. Most of the bars were aimed at Big Sean, but Kendrick ended the 2nd verse rapping, "Drake, your Meek Mill beef might get you gassed up, but I'm a whole nother beast. I'd really fuck you up." It's pretty obvious why the original version never made it on the record, because it would have taken the beef to a whole different level. Some fans were even claiming it was fake and made with AI, but it turns out it was real and actually leaked a few years ago, and most people didn't even notice. So of course, Drake would have a few bars for Kendrick on his next album, For All the Dogs. On the song, Away From Home, Drake rapped, "I'm trying to keep it humble, I'm trying to keep it gracious. Who give a fuck Michelle Obama put you on her playlist? Then we never hear from you again like you was taken." Humble is one of Kendrick's biggest songs, and in 2020, Michelle Obama did put a Kendrick song on her Spotify playlist. Plus, Drake might also still be mad that Barack chose Kendrick over him. Drake also then took a shot at Kendrick for claiming to be the GOAT, but disappearing for 5 years. So at this point, the beef may never end or reach the point where fans get an actual full diss song. They've been sending sneak disses for over 10 years, but won't even admit they have a problem with each other. Some fans are starting to get tired of the subliminals and want them to either go at each other's necks or leave it alone. Even Joe Budden called them out on an episode of his podcast and told them to either drop a diss track or stop sending shots at each other.
I'm sick of it though now.
Why?
I'm sick of it. It's like rap beef blue balls.
Isn't that what hip hop is?
No, it's been over 10 years, yo. It's been over 10 years.
Wait, hold on.
If we're not at the point now of a record, a direct, I don't stop.
Kendrick may have been listening because he took one of his most obvious shots at Drake in years on a track with Future and Metro Boomin. Kendrick had a surprise feature on the song Like That from the Future and Metro Boomin mixtape, We Don't Trust You. On the track, Kendrick responded to the song First Person Shooter, Drake's collab with J. Cole from For All the Dogs. On First Person Shooter, J. Cole name-dropped Kendrick and claimed that Drake, Kendrick, and Cole were the top 3 in the rap game right now, rapping, "Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey, or me? We the big 3 like we started a league, but right now, I feel like Muhammad Ali." J. Cole was showing love to Kendrick Lamar, but still admitting that he feels like he's number 1. Kendrick decided to respond, but got way more aggressive and took shots at Drake and Cole. On the song Like That, Kendrick raps, "These niggas talking out of their necks. Don't pull no coffin out of your mouth. I'm way too paranoid for a threat." On First Person Shooter, J. Cole starts out by rapping, "First Person Shooter mode, we turning your song to a funeral. To them niggas that say they want offers, you better be talking about working in cubicles." So right away, Kendrick is warning them what'll happen if Drake or Cole starts dissing them directly. After that, Kendrick raps, "DOT, the money, power, respects. The last one is better." In this bar, Kendrick is making a reference to his track Backseat Freestyle, where he raps, "All my life, I want money and power. Respect my mind or die from lead shower." Now that he's farther along in his career, Kendrick has all 3, money, power, and respect. But the respect is the most important. So the bar seemed like a direct shot at Drake. Kendrick is basically telling Drake that he might have the money and power, but he's not a respected MC like Kendrick. It's even more obvious because on the next line, Kendrick raps, "Say, it's a lot of goofies with a check. I mean, holding sentiment symbolic. My temperament bipolar. I choose violence." Drake has a partnership with Nike, whose logo is a check. So basically Kendrick is saying that even though Drake is rich and successful, it doesn't matter because he's still a goofy. Kendrick also lets it be known that he wants all the smoke and chooses violence over pretending to be fake friends. Kendrick keeps going, and on the next bar, he raps, "Okay, let's get it up. It's time for him to prove that he's a problem. Niggas clicking up, but cannot be legit. No 40 water, tell him." The first line is a shot at J. Cole for claiming he's the best, and Kendrick is taunting him to make a diss song and prove it. In the second line, Kendrick's taking a shot at Drake and Cole for clicking up against him, but not being real enough to come out and diss him. It's also a reference to the Bay Area rapper E40 and his cousin B Legit, who had a group together called The Click. On the next line, Kendrick made it obvious who he's talking about, rapping, yeah, get up with me. Fuck sneak dissing, first person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches." So in this bar, Kendrick made it known he's done sneak dissing and called out J. Cole and Drake directly by name dropping first person shooter. On the next line, Kendrick raps, "I crash out like, fuck rap, diss Melly Mel if I had to. Got 2 T's with me, I'm snatching chains and burning tattoos. It's up. Lost too many soldiers not to play it safe." Melly Mel is one of the members of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, a group who helped create the entire genre of hip hop. Kendrick is saying that he's willing to go at anyone if he has to, even an OG like Melly Mel, so he doesn't have to think twice about going after Drake and J. Cole. The next bar is a reference to 2 T's, the head of security at Top Dog Entertainment. So Kendrick is saying that he's bringing his bodyguard with him while he's making threats. Snatching chains and burning tattoos are both signs of disrespect, which is what he's doing to Drake and J. Cole. On the next line, Kendrick raps, "If you walk around with that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Think I won't drop the location? I still got PTSD." This bar is a direct shot at J. Cole, cause Stick and PTSD are 2 songs off his collaborative Dreamville albums. Kendrick is also making a reference to Andre 3000 from Outkast and saying that Cole may be a good rapper, but he isn't on the same level as dudes like Kendrick and Andre. Kendrick ends the verse by rapping, "Motherfuck the big 3, nigga it's just big me. Nigga what? I'm really like that. And your best work is a light pack. Nigga, Prince outlived Mike Jack. Nigga, for all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these 9s. He gon' see Pet Cemetery, nigga." On First Person Shooter, J. Cole called himself, Kendrick, and Drake the big 3. But here, Kendrick was saying that there is no big 3, it's only him. Kendrick also ended his verse by dissing Drake, who often compares himself to Michael Jackson. Kendrick is comparing himself to Prince, who is more artistic and experimental than MJ, and who is more of a regular pop star. Basically, Kendrick is saying that his legacy will outlive Drake's because he's more creative and takes bigger risks with his music. Finally, Kendrick references Drake's last album, For All the Dogs, and compares Drake and Cole to dogs he's about to put in the pet cemetery. Kendrick's verse had the internet going crazy. Even though he's been dissing Drake for years, this was the first time since Control Kendrick dedicated an entire verse to dissing other big rappers. Except this time, Kendrick didn't go at everyone and just singled out Drake and J. Cole. Everyone was talking about it online and waiting for Drake to respond. In a viral video, Drake got heckled by a fan who told him Kendrick was better as he was getting into his car.
Yo, Drake, Kendrick's better, bro. Kendrick's better.
So Drake was forced to respond on stage before a show on his S.L.R tour. Drake admitted that everyone had been asking him how he was feeling. Drake said that he never felt better and has his head held high because he knows that no one could mess with him.
Cause you know how I'm feeling? I got my fucking head up high, my back straight. I'm 10 fucking toes down in Florida or anywhere else I go. And I know that no matter what, it's not a nigga on this earth that can ever fuck with me in my life.
He didn't mention Kendrick by name or even talk about the diss, but it's pretty obvious what he's talking about. Even though Drake was the main target, J. Cole was the first one to respond. A few weeks after Like That came out, Cole responded to Kendrick on the song 7 Minute Drill from his project, Might Delete Later. J. Cole took some decent shots at Kendrick by trashing his career and claiming he fell off. 7 Minute Drill got mixed reviews and fans could tell that J. Cole's heart wasn't really in it. Then only a few days after it dropped, Cole admitted that he only made the record because everyone was hitting him up telling him to respond. Live on stage at the Dreamville Festival, Cole apologized to Kendrick and said that dissing him was the lamest thing he ever did in his life.
How many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers to ever touch a fucking microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I. So I just want to come up here and be like, publicly be like, bruh, that was the lamest, like, goofiest shit. And I say all that to say, it made me feel like 10 years ago when I was moving incorrectly. And I pray that God align me back up on my purpose and on my path. You know what I mean? I pray that my nigga really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my nigga, I got my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm gonna take that shit on the chin, boy. Do what you do. You know what I mean? Like, all good. Like, it's love.
He even removed the song from all streaming services a few days later. So Cole took a major L in the beef. But deep down, he just didn't hate Kendrick enough to go out his neck and realize the drama was being forced by the fans. But Drake took the opposite approach and dropped a diss track going at everyone. Not long after Cole apologized, a diss track by Drake called Push Ups leaked online. At first, no one knew if it was real, and there were rumors going around that it was made with AI. But Drake's team later confirmed that it was legit, and a few days later, a high-quality version made it to streaming services. On the song, Drake mainly responded to Kendrick and made it clear he wasn't scared of a battle. But Drake also took shots at everyone who went against him in the beef, including Future, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, and The Weeknd. First, Drake responds to Future in the opening bar, rapping, "I can never be nobody #1 fan. Your first #1, I had to put it in your hand." That was a response to the opening track on We Don't Trust You, where Future dissed Drake rapping, "You a nigga #1 fan, dog. Sneak dissing, I don't understand, dog. Pillow talking, acting like a fed, dog. I don't need another fake friend, dog." Drake went pretty light on Future because their beef doesn't seem all that deep, but he wasn't so easy on Kendrick. Later in the verse, Drake raps, "You won't never take no chain off of us. How the fuck you big steppin' with a size 7 men's on?" The bar was a reference to Kendrick's album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but also a shot about his size. Kendrick is a pretty small dude and only about 5'5". Drake continued taking shots at Kendrick, rapping, "Extortion baby, whole career, you been shook up. Cause Top told you, drop and give me 50, like some push-ups, huh? Your last one bricks, you really not on shit. They make excuses for you, cause they hate to see me lit. Pull your contract, cause we gotta see the split. The way you doing splits, bitch, your pants might rip." The line about doing push-ups is a double shot. First, Drake's talking about a viral video from a few months ago of Kendrick doing prison push-ups. But Drake's also clowning Kendrick for supposedly having to give 50% of the money he makes from music to his label. Top is referring to Top Dog, the owner of Kendrick's old label, TDE, or Top Dog Entertainment. So basically, Drake's saying that Kendrick's only mad because his last album flopped and his label took all the money. Next, Drake raps, "You better do that motherfucking show inside the biddy. Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we need a verse for the Swifties." In that bar, Drake is clowning Kendrick for doing pop crossovers with Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift, while also claiming to be a real MC. Some fans thought Drake was being a hypocrite because he's also done plenty of pop songs and even dropped a commercial where he lip-synced to Bad Blood, the song with Kendrick and Taylor. Later, Drake responds to Kendrick's claims of being number 1 in hip-hop, rapping, "Pipsqueak, pipe down. You ain't in no big 3. SZA got you wiped down, Travis got you wiped down, Savage got you wiped down. Like your label, boy, you in a scope right now, and you gon' feel the aftermath of what I write down." So Drake is saying Kendrick isn't even in the big 3 because Travis, 21 Savage, and SZA are all doing bigger numbers. Drake also makes a play on words about Kendrick being signed to Interscope, but also being in a scope of Drake's next shot. Next, Drake responds to Kendrick's Prince vs. Michael Jackson bar and also takes a shot at Metro Boomin, rapping, "I'm at the top of the mountain, so you tight now. Just to have this talk with your ass, I had to hike down. Big difference between Mike then and Mike now. What the fuck is this? A 20v1, nigga? What's a prince to a king? He a son, nigga. Get more love in the city that you from, nigga. Metro, shut your hoe ass up and make some drums, nigga." On the second verse, Drake also takes a slight shot at J. Cole for apologizing to Kendrick, rapping, "And that fucking song y'all got did not start the beef with us. The shit been brewing in the pot. Now I'm heating up. I don't care what Cole think, that dot shit was weak as fuck." Even though the rollout was kinda weird with the track leaking online, most fans were pretty impressed that Drake was ready to take shots at everyone all at once. He dissed 5 of the biggest rappers in the game and 1 producer all in one song. Plus the song is pretty catchy and has some clever bars. Rick Ross was the first to respond and dropped his Drake diss track, Champagne Moments, only a few hours later. But Drake only clowned Ross on social media because the rapper he really wanted to battle with was Kendrick. After that, Drake started baiting Kendrick to respond. Drake was posting pictures of Kendrick's managers to his Instagram asking when they're going to get a response. In one photo, the manager's even buying OVO clothes, and in the caption Drake wrote, "We getting in our bag or not?" Apparently, Kendrick wasn't working fast enough for Drake because Drake ended up dropping a second diss track before Kendrick could even respond. About a week after Push Ups leaked, another track called Taylor Made Freestyle came out where Drake continued to go at Kendrick. But this time, Drake made it even more disrespectful by rapping from the perspective of 2 West Coast legends, Snoop Dogg and Tupac, using AI-generated voices. As Tupac, Drake begged Kendrick to respond and represent the West Coast, rapping, "Kendrick, we need you, the West Coast savior. Engraving your name in some hip-hop history. If you deal with this viciously, you seem a little nervous about all the publicity. Fuck this Canadian light skin, dot. We need a no-debated West Coast victory, man. Call him a bitch for me." Drake does basically the same thing while pretending to be Snoop, but also reminds Kendrick that he's not a violent dude, rapping, "Nephew, what the fuck you really about to do? We passed you the torch at the House of Blues, and now you gotta do some dirty work. You know how to move, right? Right? I know you never been to jail or wore jumpsuits and shower shoes. Never shot nobody, never stabbed nobody, never did nothing violent to no one. It's the homies that empower you." Snoop actually did pass Kendrick the torch of West Coast rap in 2011 at the House of Blues during a concert with The Game, Corrupt, Daz, and Warren G. So Drake is basically saying that if Kendrick doesn't respond soon, he's letting down all the OGs who believed in him. Drake continues to go at Kendrick on his own verse, rapping, "The first one really only took me an hour or 2. The next one is really about to bring out the coward in you. But now we gotta wait a fucking week cause Taylor Swift is your new top. And if you about to drop, she gotta approve. This girl really about to make you act like you not in the feud. She tailor-made your schedule with Ant, you out of the loop." Drake claims that his disses only took a few hours to make, so Kendrick has no excuse taking this long to respond. The same weekend the freestyle dropped, Taylor Swift also released her new album, The Tortured Poets Department. So Drake was basically saying that Kendrick delayed his response because he knew he couldn't compete with Taylor's fan base. Drake even gave Taylor a shout out on the outro and called her the biggest gangster in the music game. The Taylor-made freestyle got more mixed reviews compared to push-ups. Fans were divided over Drake using AI to diss Kendrick as Tupac and Snoop without getting their permission. Some thought it was a great move, but other people thought it was corny and that Drake crossed the line. Snoop Dogg even responded to the AI track on social media, but basically made it clear he didn't really care and didn't want to get in the middle of the beef. But even if Snoop didn't want to get involved, another huge rapper did. Kanye decided to jump into the beef by dropping a remix to Like That, where he took shots at Drake and J. Cole, rapping, "Y'all so out of sight, out of mind, I can't even think of a Drake line. Play J. Cole, get the pussy dry. Play this shit back 130 times. On top of that, Kanye also said in an interview that Future invited him to the studio and they were all excited and energized about the elimination of Drake from the rap game.
Pluto called me, I went to the studio, laid that, and then we went through the creative process, adding the chorus, and called the Hooligans, called them out in London to get on a joint. And, everybody was very, very excited about the elimination of Drake.
It definitely seemed like a team effort the way everyone went at Drake all at once. But Kanye was the first one to confirm that it was a coordinated attack, and Future and Metro were actively trying to get every big name in rap to diss Drake at the same time. It took Kendrick a while to respond, and some fans even thought that he might never drop. But when Kendrick finally came back, he took the beef to a whole different level. On April 30th, Kendrick dropped a 6-minute track called Euphoria. It started out kind of slow, with Kendrick sounding pretty calm and melodic, but there were multiple beat switches, and as the track went on, Kendrick started to sound more and more aggressive. In the first part, Kendrick called Drake a liar and a manipulator who was making up stories about him because he knew he couldn't win in a real rap battle. Kendrick also warned Drake not to make him expose all his dark secrets, rapping, "I make music that electrify him, you make music that pacify him. I can double down on that line, but spare you this time. That's random acts of kindness. Know you a master manipulator and a habitual liar too, but don't tell no lie about me and I won't tell truths about you." Later in the song, Kendrick made it clear that he was willing to destroy Drake if he had to, and also responded to the AI Tupac verse, rapping, "The very first time I shot me a Drake, the homie had told me to aim it this way. I didn't point down enough. Today, I'll show you I learned from those mistakes. Somebody had told me that you got a ring. On God, I'm ready to double that wage. I'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn in his grave." Then Kendrick took another shot at Drake and J. Cole for linking up behind his back and made it clear he doesn't want to be cool, rapping, "It's 3 ghosts left, and I seen 2 of them kissing and hugging on stage. I love them to death, and in 8 bars, I'll explain that phrase. It's nothing nobody can tell me. I don't want to talk with no celly. You know I got language barriers. It's no accent you can sell me. Yeah, Cole and Aubrey know I'm a selfish nigga. The crown is heavy. I pray they my real friends. If not, I'm YNW Melly. YNW Melly is currently on trial for allegedly murdering 2 of his best friends. So Kendrick is letting it be known he's willing to take out Drake and Cole if he has to. Next, Kendrick takes a shot at Drake for taking an L against Pusha T and even called him a snitch, rapping, "Yeah, fuck all that pushing P. Let me see you push a T. You better off spinning again on him. You think about pushing me. He's Terrence Thornton, I'm Terrence Crawford. Yeah, I'm whooping feet. We ain't gotta get personal, this a friendly fade. You should keep it that way. I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint." Gunna got called a snitch by a lot of rap fans after he took a plea deal in the RICO case against Young Thug and admitted that YSL is a gang. So Kendrick is implying that he has evidence about Drake being a rat that would make the Gunna situation look like nothing. Finally, Kendrick references the viral DMX interview where he went off on Drake, rapping, "I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, I hate the way that you dress. Surprised you wanted that feature request. You know that we got some shit to address." According to Kendrick, Drake reached out to him about doing a feature, possibly for first-person shooter. Kendrick said a lot more on the record and made it obvious that he had serious issues with Drake that go deeper than just rap. He called him a bad father, questioned his sexuality, made fun of his Canadian accent, and even told him he couldn't say the N-word anymore. So even though it started out as just a challenge to see who was a better rapper, the beef was getting personal fast. The response to Euphoria online was pretty mixed. The hardcore hip-hop fans loved it because of Kendrick's wordplay and beat selection. But Drake fans felt like he didn't expose anything that other rappers hadn't already said, and he took over 2 weeks to respond with a weak diss. But Kendrick was just getting warmed up. A few days later, Kendrick dropped another diss track called 616 in LA. The title was an obvious reference to Drake's timestamp records like 5 a.m. in Toronto or 4 p.m. in Calabasas. But fans also noticed that it had all kinds of other hidden meanings because 616 is Father's Day, Tupac's birthday, the start of the OJ trial, and the day the show Euphoria debuted on HBO, which was executive produced by Drake. 616 in LA wasn't as disrespectful as Euphoria, but Kendrick did drop some bombs, like how someone in OVO is feeding him information. Kendrick raps, "Are you finally ready to play? Have you ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? Fake bully. I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it." He also revealed that Drake was offering money to anyone with dirt on Kendrick he could use in the beat, rapping, "It was fun till you started putting money in the streets, then lost money because they came back with no receipts. I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace. But war ready if the world is ready to see you bleed." Toward the end of the song, Kendrick also warns Drake to keep an eye on the people in his circle, rapping, "It's time that you look around on who's around you. Before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do." You're Not Alone was a Michael Jackson song that was written by R. Kelly. So Kendrick was not only making a reference to the MJ vs. Prince comparison like that, he was also talking about some of the major accusations he was about to make about Drake and his team. Drake didn't waste any time and responded with the track Family Matters later the same day. Drake didn't just drop a new 7-minute diss track, he even made a music video to go with it. In the video, Drake shows the van from the cover of Good Kid Mad City get crushed up in the junkyard. Drake also makes several references to some of Kendrick's bars on Euphoria. On Euphoria, Kendrick made fun of Drake's accent and rapped, "I'll be at New Hope King eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody." So in the video for Family Matters, Drake and his crew went to the New Hope King restaurant and ate that exact same meal. There's also another theory that New Hope King was the spot where Drake got robbed back in the day. In 2009, Drake was robbed while he was in Toronto. He later told GQ that the robbers banged on his car window with a gun and told him to hand over a chain he got from Lil Wayne. According to rumors, one of the robbers was another rapper named S.L.R who took off on foot after the robbery. So Kendrick saying, "dip sauce in the blammy" might be a reference to how S.L.R dipped with the blammy or a gun. At the time, Drake was getting called a snitch in Toronto for allegedly cooperating in the case. So this might be what Kendrick was talking about on Euphoria when he said that he knew info about Drake that would make Gunna look like a saint. But showing up in the restaurant might be Drake's way of proving he didn't snitch, especially because he denies it in the song, rapping, "You better have some paperwork or that shit fake tea. Can't be rapping about no ratting that we can't read." On the song, Drake also took more shots at Kendrick and responded to some of the other people in the beef like Rick Ross, ASAP Rocky, and Metro Boomin. Drake starts by calling Kendrick fake woke for pretending to be an activist in his music but never giving back to his own hood, rapping, "Always rapping like you about to get the slaves free. You acting like an activist is make-believe. Don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees." Then Drake also starts to dissect Kendrick's relationship with his fiancée, Whitney Alford, rapping, "Say you hate the girls I fuck, but what you really mean? I've been with black and white and everything that's in between. You the black messiah, wifing up a mixed queen, and hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem. On some Bobby shit, I wanna know what Whitney need. All that puppy love was over in y'all late teens." Then Drake drops a bombshell that he heard that Dave Free is actually the father of one of Kendrick and Whitney's kids. Dave Free is Kendrick's childhood friend and also one of the co-founders of his label, PG Lang. On Family Matters, Drake raps, "You did her dirty all your life, you trying to make peace. I heard that one of them little kids might be Dave Free. Don't make it Dave Freeze, cause if your GM is your BM secret BD, then this is all making plenty fucking sense to me." In the second part of the song, Drake starts going at everyone he's beefing with and only takes a few shots at Kendrick. But the third part is where things really start to get messy. In the third verse, Drake raps, "The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. We get that you like to put gin in your juice. We get that you think that you bishop and juice. When you put your hands on your girl, is it self-defense cause she bigger than you?" So Drake's not only taking another cheap shot at Kendrick's height, he's also accusing him of beating up Whitney. But he doesn't stop there. Drake keeps digging into Kendrick's relationship and claims that he moved to New York because he and Whitney split up, rapping, "Why did you move to New York? Is it because you live in that bachelor life? Proposed in 2015, but don't want to make her your actual wife. I'm guessing this wedding ain't happening, right? Because we know the girls that you actually like. Your darkest secrets are coming to light." Drake then ends the song by claiming Kendrick hired a PR team to cover up the assault, rapping, "There's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to hide. You know what I mean. They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. The picture you painted ain't what it seemed." Up to that point, that was the wildest shot in the entire beat. Drake came back pretty quickly, and most fans agreed it was a decent response. Although some people felt he should have focused on Kendrick and not try to go at everyone. Drake may have been up one in the battle if Kendrick wasn't so well prepared, because 45 minutes later, Kendrick dropped his response, "Meet the Grams," which was even more brutal and full of crazy allegations about Drake. Meet the Grams is another 6-minute track where Kendrick addresses all of Drake's close family members one by one, starting with his son, Adonis. Kendrick starts the song rapping, "Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father. Let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. I'm sorry that you gotta grow up and then stand behind him." Kendrick is making it pretty clear his hatred of Drake is way deeper than rap, and he actually thinks he's a bad guy. The song gets even darker in the next verse when Kendrick starts talking to Drake's parents. First, Kendrick tells Drake's parents he did a horrible job raising him because he's a gambling addict, a predator, and a master manipulator. Then, later in the verse, Kendrick drops a bombshell where he implies Drake and the rest of OVO are involved in sex trafficking. Kendrick raps, Sandra, sit down. What I'm about to say is heavy. Now listen, your son's a sick man with thick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die. Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life. He hates black women, hypersexualizes them with kinks of an info fetish. Grew facial hair because he understood being a beard just fit him better. He got sex offenders on OVO that he keep on a monthly allowance. A child should never be compromised, and he keeping his child around him. Kendrick is comparing Drake to the movie producer Harvey Weinstein, who was found guilty of committing sex crimes and using his power and influence to cover it up for years. Kendrick's also claiming that Drake has people on his team that have the same kind of charges. Yeah, he still lets his kid be around him. But the accusations didn't stop there. On the next verse, Kendrick drops another bombshell and implied that Drake had an 11-year-old daughter he was hiding from the world. On the verse, Kendrick raps, "Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father not active inside your world. He don't commit to much but it's music, yeah that's for sure. He's a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. Try destroying families rather than taking care of his own. Should be teaching you timetables or watching Frozen with you, or at your 11th birthday singing poems with you. Instead, he being Turks, paying for sex and popping perks, examples that you don't deserve." One of the biggest scandals of Drake's career was when Pusha T reveals he had a son the world didn't know about on the story of Adidan. According to Kendrick, Adonis wasn't the only kid Drake was hiding, and he actually has a daughter who's even older. But he claims Drake is too busy chasing fame and women to focus on being a good parent. In the final verse, Kendrick addresses Drake directly and lets him know that he wanted it to be a clean battle. But Drake crossed the line when he mentioned his family. Kendrick raps, "Dear Aubrey, I know you're probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but truthfully, I don't have a hating bone in my body. This is supposed to be a good exhibition within the game, but you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. Why you had to stoop so low to discredit some decent people?" Kendrick also claims that Drake has all kinds of addictions that have turned him into a horrible person, rapping, "You got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill popping, and spending problems. Bad with money, whorehouse, soliciting women problems. Therapy's a lovely start, but I suggest some ayahuasca. Strip the ego from the bottom. I try to empathize with you because I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, but want to be liked so bad that it's puzzling." Meet the Grams was a brutal takedown where Kendrick picked apart Drake's character and exposed some of his darkest secrets. It also had the perfect beat, which was just an eerie piano loop that was made by Alchemist. The cover also showed a bunch of items that were supposedly stolen from a suitcase that belonged to Drake's dad, which included a shirt with a bulldog peeing on a fire hydrant, black Maybach gloves, a box of Ozempic, and a bottle of prescription pills with Drake's name on it. Fans didn't even have time to process family matters because Meet the Grams dropped so quickly. So instead of Drake getting props for responding with a solid diss, everyone was trying to figure out if he had a secret daughter or if he was involved with human trafficking. Right after Meet the Grams dropped, Drake responded to some of the accusations on Instagram and wrote, "Nah, hold on, can someone find my hidden daughter please and send her to me?" Fans on social media even thought they found Drake's secret daughter and her name was Eternity. But then another conspiracy theory came out that Drake actually planted the story and fed Kendrick false information because you can see the images of the girl that's supposed to be the daughter in the Family Matters video. It was one of the craziest nights in rap history, and fans didn't know what to believe. Drake may have still had a chance to come back if he could prove Kendrick was lying about some of the accusations. But he didn't react fast enough because Kendrick dropped again less than 24 hours later. The next day, Kendrick drops Not Like Us, which was a classic West Coast banger produced by DJ Mustard. On the song, Kendrick doubled down on the accusations about OVO and also called Drake a culture vulture. On the song, Kendrick raps, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talks to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one to get your hand-me-downs. And Party at the Party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles." Chubbs is Drake's right-hand man and supposedly the head of security at OVO, but he's more known for smoking weed all day and leashing off Drake. So Kendrick was getting more and more specific to show that Drake was getting extorted by his own crew. The next line is a reference to Party Next Door, a singer who signed to OVO. In 2017, Party Next Door was arrested for trying to cross the US-Canada border with Xanax and Oxy pills, and fans have speculated for years that he has a serious drug problem. The next line is about Baca Not Nice, another rapper on OVO who's close to Drake. In 2014, Baca was arrested for forcing a 22-year-old woman into prostitution and taking her money. He ended up pleading guilty to assault and weapons charges and spent about 10 months in jail. So Kendrick is exposing all the sketchy people Drake has in his entourage to back up the accusations. If that wasn't bad enough, after the song drops, Old clips of Drake acting pretty strange around underage girls started to go around on social media. There's an old video from 2010 where Drake brought a fan on stage who turned out to be 17. Even though she told him her age, Drake still talked about how hot she was and kissed her on the mouth. Although, the girl from the video later made a statement and said that everyone was making a big deal over nothing. There was also interviews from young girls in the entertainment industry like Billie Eilish and Millie Bobby Brown, who said that they text Drake all the time when they were both teenagers and Drake was in his 30s. None of the evidence showed Drake doing anything illegal, but when he put it all together and added the accusations from Kendrick, it's definitely not a good look. Later on Not Like Us, Kendrick also disses Drake for getting his swag and street cred from Atlanta artists and name drops all the rappers he's worked with, rapping, "You run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. Let me break it down for you. This the real nigga challenge. You called Future when you didn't see the club. Lil Baby helped you get your lingo up. 21 gave you false street cred. Thug made you feel like you was slime in your head. Quavo said you could be from Northside. 2 Chainz said you good, but he lied. You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you're not a colleague, you a fucking colonizer." Kendrick isn't just dissing Drake, he's also calling out other rappers in the industry who let him jack their style by making music with him. Part of what has kept Drake at the top of the game so long is his ability to work with all the new hot artists and ride their wave. So Kendrick exposing Drake like that might make new artists not want Drake on their records. Not Like Us was way more of a banger than Euphoria or Meet the Grams and broke a record for most single-day streams on Spotify of any rap song in history. Drake's major advantage in the battle was his ability to make hits, but Not Like Us ended up being the biggest hit in the entire beef. Drake responded the next day with The Heart Part 6, which was a play on Kendrick's own series of records. On the track, Drake claims that his camp fed Kendrick the information about his fake daughter to make him look stupid. Drake raps, "We plotted for a week, and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or a destination, but she's so thirsty, you're not concerned with investigation." Drake also continued to double down on the accusations about Whitney and Dave Free, rapping, "What about the bones we dug up in that excavation? And why isn't Whitney denying all of the allegations? Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? We haven't seen the kids in 6 months. The distance is wild." Dave leaving heart emojis underneath pics of the child. The cover art of the song even featured an IG comment from Dave Free that was under a photo of Whitney and one of Kendrick's kids. Drake then addresses all the allegations Kendrick made about him messing with underage girls, rapping, "Speaking of anything with a child, let's get to that now. This Epstein angle is the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected. Instead of being on some direct shit, you rather fucking grab your pen and misdirect shit. My mom came over today and I was like, mother, wait a second. That's that one record where you say you got molested. Fuck me. I just made the whole connection." Mother I Sober is a song from Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where Kendrick talks about a situation where his family thought he was molested by his cousin. Kendrick told him he was never touched, but his mom didn't believe him because she had her own trauma from being abused when she was younger. Drake misinterpreted the line and claimed that Kendrick was the one who got molested, which is why he's so obsessed with calling Drake a predator. Drake continues to deny the allegations and says that he's too famous to be hooking up with underage girls, rapping, "I never been with no one underage, but now I understand why this the angle that you really mess with. Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you suggested." Fans pointed out that Drake's logic doesn't make any sense because some of the most famous and powerful people in the world have been exposed for committing the same type of crimes. Drake even references the drama about him and Millie Bobby Brown, rapping, "I'm your baby mama's screensaver, only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never looked twice at no teenager." Fans were pretty divided over Drake's response. Even though he was rapping well, some of his bars didn't really make any sense and he sounded pretty defeated. On the outro, he even admitted that Not Like Us was pretty fire, which is the last thing you should do in a battle. Plus, it's pretty hard to make a hit when you spend half the record denying some serious accusations. The Heart Part 6 just didn't have the same impact as Not Like Us. Even though Family Matters was decent, Meet the Grams killed all the hype. So by the end of the weekend, most fans agreed that Kendrick had won the battle. On Not Like Us, Kendrick implied that he had a lot more records in the vault that he can continue to drop if Drake wanted to keep the beef going. But by that point, Drake sounded like he was pretty tired of going back and forth, so Kendrick stayed quiet. It didn't take long for Drake to start getting trolled. The day after Like That drops, someone renamed Drake's mansion on Google Maps to say, "Owned by Kendrick." Plus, when you click around on the property, there are even more references to the song, like a section that says A Minor Guitar Club and Ghostwriters HQ. Metro Boomin also responded to Drake's diss on push-ups, telling him to shut up and make some drums by making an instrumental track called BBL Drizzy. Metro also announced that whoever made the best rap over the beat and added the hashtag BBL Drizzy Beat Giveaway would get a free beat he made. So Metro had the whole world recording Drake disses and posting them online. Fans still have no idea what's true and what's a lie. Drake claimed that his team leaked false information to Kendrick, but didn't provide any proof or receipts that would back up his claims. A random Twitter account called Ebony Prince 2K24 also put out a video showing he had the items from the Meet the Grams album cover to prove that Drake was lying about feeding Kendrick false info. But Kendrick also didn't expose any evidence to back up his accusations either. DJ Academics even said on his stream,
Drake doesn't have a kid. Kendrick lied. But Kendrick's kid isn't Dave Freeze, from my understanding. So Drake lied.
So it seems like both Drake and Kendrick were either given bad info or intentionally lied just to make the other one look as crazy as possible. The beef may have even turned violent after one of Drake's security guards was shot outside of his house in Toronto on May 7th. The exact details and motive behind the shooting are unclear, and there isn't much evidence to prove it has anything to do with Kendrick. But police sources originally said that it was a drive-by shooting, and the timing of the incident is pretty suspicious. You would think that would scare people away, but since then, multiple trespassers have tried to sneak onto Drake's property since the shooting. 2 were already arrested and taken into police custody, and a third was tackled to the ground and held with his arms behind his back by a security guard. Police didn't say what their motive was, but chances are it has something to do with the beat. So many wild accusations have been made on both sides that it's hard to imagine Drake and Kendrick will ever be cool again. It's been one of the most highly publicized rap battles in history, and people are even comparing it to Biggie vs. Tupac. Even if this round of the battle is over, chances are this isn't the last time one of them disses each other on a record. So at this point, it's hard to imagine the beef between Drake and Kendrick will ever really end.